attention to notice the reverse of everything that is normal becoming abnormal.
Not to be morbid, but my husband's dead. Oh, hey, guys. Hey, welcome in. I got the bad cop hat on tonight. It's going to be one of those nights. Tonight's open is coming up right now. Khalil Abu Rayyan is his name. Khalil Abu Rayyan. He was born around 1995 to immigrant parents from Jordan. His parents had settled in the Dearborn Heights, Michigan area, a Detroit suburb known for its large Arab American and Muslim community. He identified strongly with his Arab heritage and Muslim faith and often posted about these aspects of his life on social media. Khalil grew up in a working-class family. His father owned a pizzeria in Detroit, where Khalil eventually worked as a delivery driver. His delivery driver job involved long, late-night shifts navigating desolate inner-city streets, which he found both monotonous and, frankly, a little dangerous. So to cope with the boredom and isolation, he frequently indulged in a bad habit. He smoked marijuana. It's a habit that began when he was just 17 years old. His mental health issues surfaced early in his life. At the age of 12, he confided in a teacher about a disturbing nightmare he had, in which he brought a firearm to school and deployed it against classmates. This landed him on the radar of authorities and led to a mandatory counseling session. This marked the beginning of a documented history of psychological challenges. Throughout his teenage years, he faced fairly relentless bullying at school. This escalated into physical fights and resulted in at least 3 suspensions from school. He was particularly self-conscious about his physical appearance. He attended a local gym, but immediately felt intimidated by weightlifters and avoided social interactions there. Instead, he turned to online forums where he could craft a more empowered persona. By 2014, his online activity took a darker turn. He began consuming videos produced by terrorist entities that were gaining global notoriety at the time for brutal propaganda. He posted a graphic that included graphic content on social media, including images of things like people missing their heads, and the people being, frankly, burnt alive. And it was also things like execution of people thrown from rooftops for their alleged deviant lifestyles. These posts were not just passive shares. He actually was commenting on them. He was retweeting videos and remarking, "Thanks, brother, that made my day." And this behavior signaled a fascination with this sort of ideology, and it was intertwined with his personal loneliness and depression. He portrayed himself online as a menacing warrior, and it contrasted sharply with his real-life personality and real-life insecurities. His troubles escalated in late 2015. In October that year, he was pulled over by Detroit police for speeding. Officers discovered a concealed .22 caliber handgun, 4 plastic bags of marijuana, and some sleeping pills in his car. He was arrested and released on bond. But the incident once again landed him on the radar of authorities, this time as what is known as a prohibited person under federal law. Specifically, he was now known to law enforcement as an unlawful user of a controlled substance. This barred him from possessing firearms. In fact, he attempted to purchase a new firearm shortly after the arrest, but was denied due to the pending charges. 2 weeks after that, he rented an AK-47 style rifle and an AR-15 style rifle at a local firing range, and he practiced with them, but he didn't take them home. Around this time, in late 2015, he tweeted a photo of himself cloaked in camouflage, holding a firearm and pointing his index finger skyward. This was a gesture often associated with support of certain terrorist groups. The caption read, "Sawat hunting," and referred to Sunni tribesmen who opposed ISIS and allied with U.S.-led forces in Iraq. These posts and others caught the attention of the FBI. The FBI had been monitoring him since at least May of 2015 due to his social media activity. By this point, Khalil was in a state of chronic gloom. This was exacerbated by court appearances from his October arrest. He experienced suicidal thoughts and at one point purchased a rope with the intention of hanging himself. His family later described him as a vulnerable young man, had no prior criminal history beyond a few minor infractions. They said he was shy, awkward, and desperately seeking companionship. A defense-hired psychologist assessed his risk of violence as very low and attributed his online statements to a longing for attention rather than any kind of genuine radicalization. Shortly after his tweet, in late 2015, the FBI began running a sting operation on Khalil. About a week after that post, an undercover FBI employee contacted him on Twitter. The undercover FBI employee deployed the persona Gada, G-H-A-A-D-A. Gada, at least according to the fake profile the FBI was using, was a young Pakistani American Muslim woman from Cleveland. Gada described herself as a woman facing family pressure for an arranged marriage, and this resonated with Khalil's cultural background. The conversations quickly turned romantic. This marked the first time Khalil had ever had a girlfriend. Within days, they were discussing wedding plans, even though they had never met in person. Khalil expressed overwhelming emotion in their messages. Quote, "While I was driving, I started to cry because of how happy I am to have you," end quote. Gada responded affectionately, quote, "Don't cry, my love, please." Notice the "my love" there used by the FBI, just in case it ever comes up in the future in a case in Utah. This prompted Khalil to reply, "It's tears of joy. I never felt this way before." He added, "I need you. You had me from our first tweet." He shared visions with her of their future, including how many children he wanted to have, and mentioned that he and his father had planned to visit her in Cleveland to formalize their engagement. The relationship built Khalil up emotionally, and it provided the companionship he craved. Messages showed his deep affection for Gada. Quote, "Every time I close my eyes, I see you right by me. Words can't explain my love for you." However, the FBI abruptly ended this persona's communication. Gada disappeared off the face of the earth without explanation. This devastated Khalil. It left him extremely vulnerable. But it was all part of the plan. It set the stage for the next phase of the operation. Because just 2 days after Gada's immediate and sudden disappearance, another undercover FBI employee reached out under the name Jannah, Jannah. Jannah posed as a 19-year-old Sunni Muslim woman whose husband had been killed in a Syrian airstrike while fighting for ISIS. She had 2 cousins who were murdered by Shia militants in Iraq. Jannah claimed to be depressed, suicidal, eager for martyrdom to avenge their losses. And the FBI, of course, entirely fabricated this entire story. These tragic backstories were fake. They were manipulative on purpose. Their communications spanned multiple platforms: Twitter, SureSpot, Skype, Facebook, Telegram. They started around December 23rd of 2015. Khalil quickly developed feelings for Jannah, telling her, quote, "It's like I knew you all my life, and I will ask you to marry me, but not now," end quote. He expressed concern for her well-being, quote, "If you are sad, I am sad," end quote. He urged her to have patience and prayed for her happiness. When Jannah steered the conversations towards violence, saying she had no desire for life and wanted to die, Khalil resisted. On December 26, just 3 days afterwards, she asked, "What do you want from this world?" He replied, "Honestly, I want to get married. I think if I get married, I will be happy. I'm just lonely sometimes. I want to start a family." Later, on January 25th, 2016, Jannah professed her willingness to join ISIS and give her life if asked, and then suggested they do it together. Khalil pushed back. "You're young and confused. I don't think you know what you want. Don't do anything that will hurt you, yourself, or other people. I want us to be together." He repeatedly tried to redirect towards marriage and a peaceful life, saying, quote, "Honestly, you need to think about what you want. I can't be in this game. Depression is real, but don't let it ruin your life." Despite his reluctance, Khalil began sharing violent fantasies to try to impress her and maintain her attention. He falsely claimed he had planned to shoot up a large Detroit church near his pizza shop. I tried to once. I don't know the name of it, but it's close to my job. It's one of the biggest ones in Detroit. Yeah, I had it planned out. I bought a bunch of bullets. I practiced a lot with it. I practiced reloading and unloading. But my dad searched my car one day and found everything. He found the gun, the bullets, the mask I was going to wear, and he added it would have been a bloodbath and that he would kill everyone without mercy, including women and children. He also boasted about wanting to kill the cop who arrested him in October, claiming he had a sword in his car. It's noteworthy that FBI searches after his arrest found no AK-47, no extra bullets, no mask, and no sword. The only weapon they found was the .22 caliber revolver that they confiscated in the traffic stop. Jana persistently pushed jihad themes. In a phone conversation shortly before his arrest, Khalil discussed his suicidal ideation, mentioning the rope. Only in like a minute or two, it'll be over. My family's going to be sad for a little while, but they'll get over it. Jana countered that suicide was only permissible in jihad. Like I told you before, when it's for the sake of Allah, when it's jihad, or when it's based on our creed or for a cause, that's the only time it's allowed. But to put your life to waste, just hang yourself like you say you want to do, that's not the right thing to do. Khalil responded by emphasizing he didn't want to hurt others or get arrested again. So on February 4th, 2016, just 2 days after a phone call where Khalil emphatically insisted he would not harm other people, FBI agents arrested him. They charged him with possession of a firearm by an unlawful user of controlled substances. It's important to note that at the time of his February 2016 arrest, he did not own or possess a firearm. Rather, the firearm for which he was arrested and possessing was the same gun police lawfully confiscated from him during his arrest in October of 2015. He was charged in October on state charges of unlawful possession of a concealed firearm. He entered a guilty plea on that charge. And it's an inescapable reality that when it became obvious Khalil would not be manipulated into becoming a violent individual, it wasn't until that point that the feds arrested him. And they arrested him for possessing the same gun he did not possess. It's the same gun for which the state police had already arrested him. He'd already entered a guilty plea for. And despite the FBI's year-long investigation, they never charged him with terrorism because it became increasingly obvious over time Khalil was, in fact, never going to become a terrorist. He was just a lonely young man working for his dad's pizza delivery business, and he was looking for a wife. His attorney pretty accurately summed up the FBI investigation as a mind-boggling double team of entrapment, where the agents mercilessly manipulated Khalil by building him up with goddess romance, only to devastate him, then exploit that vulnerability with Jana attempting to elicit incriminating statements. That is what happens when a patsy refuses to become a patsy. And that is your opening statement. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I've always been drawn to that story. And the reason I'm drawn to it is I was 21 years old on 9/11 when everything changed. I mean, it's like the birth of Jesus, right? It kind of changed time. We talk about AD and BC time. If you say it's the year 1967, everyone on earth knows what year you're talking about. And it kind of goes back to that time. Well, I think 2001 kind of divides time the same way. Like, in a way, we're like, instead of AD, Anno Domini, 2026 now, we're like AN, after 9/11, 25 now. The world kind of divided. And I was 21 at the time. I'm 46 now. And so for the vast majority of my adulthood and well past half of my life, I've sort of lived in this reality where we've been sold this bill of goods that the FBI is out there doing the right thing. They're constantly busting up terrorist attacks. They're constantly protecting us. Oh, we got to raise the level to orange. We were at yellow. Now we're orange. Okay, back to yellow. Never green. Never green. We go from orange to yellow, sometimes red. Ooh, got to go to red. Christmas is coming. Don't want you to be happy around family. Now we'll go back to orange. You guys remember the color guide for the terrorist threat in the early years after 9/11. So I kind of grew up in this environment. And at the time, it would not have dawned on me. It does now. Every time I see a case like this now, this is the first thing I think of. But at the time, it never even dawned on me that all of these could have just been made up. Every one of these could have been made up. Every one of these busted threats. Oh, we got them at the last second. They were just a... What role did you play? How did you find this guy? How did you uncover this? Were you sexting him? Were you sending him nudes? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what kind of conversations they had. They only released a few of the texts. But something got the guy all hot and bothered. Something gets these people going. And I've constantly wondered that. It brings me back to Tyler Robinson, of course. That's one of the reasons I'm doing this series of openings on patsies and potential patsies and patsies gone wrong and patsies who... I'll be quiet for 3 seconds. And that might help it. Hold, please.